Welcome to the Intuitive Websites Internet Marketing Podcast, bringing you the country's top podcast on the subject of internet marketing. I'm your host, Glenn Thayer, and today we'll discuss how to get found in the search engines. I'm here with the CEO of Intuitive Websites, Thomas Young, and search engine specialist, Dennis McCarthy. Hi, guys.
Hey, Glenn.
So everybody wants to get number one on the search engines. That's a no-brainer, but how do you go about doing this?
Well, it's probably the single most popular issue in web marketing is we want to be at the top of the search engines. And it's a good reason to do that because companies that have managed to accomplish that get tremendous return for very little investment. Now, it can be a hit and miss because when a search engine reindexes or changes some of the parameters, you can lose that position too. But it certainly pays off big time if you can get up there. The key thing, I think, for our listeners is to understand how search engines work. And to do that, you've got to understand Google, Yahoo, and MSN. They are the major players in this field. Start with Google, because Google alone is a huge task. They have over 50% of the search engine market share. Things to think about are links coming into your website, or how popular is your website on the net, what kind of terms are listed on your website and how those relate to search terms on the internet, and different factors on Google that will determine what's called a page rank. And then your Google page rank determines where you're found under miscellaneous searches.
Now, does that include portal listings as well? If you're listed in, like, let's say if you're a DJ service and you get listed under DJsusa.com, it lists all the DJs.
If the link's coming into your website, then that's improving your page rank.
Okay.
And it's important that you have links coming into your website from really big websites with really great page ranks. If you can get a link coming in from a university or a large company, it's a lot better than getting a link coming in from your mother-in-law.
So what Google did and why the reason Google broke out of all the other search engine clutter in the late 90s and in early 2001 is because they developed a formula for ranking pages based on popularity and then tying them into the keyword search. Now, it's important when you think about search engine programs that you have realistic expectations. You're not going to get found under very competitive terms. No one is, unless you develop a massive website that has massive popularity right out of the gate. It's not going to happen.
So if you typed in music and you went after the keyword music, you'd probably have an issue.
You would definitely have an issue, unless you developed a massive portal that had huge websites linking into it, and overnight Google looked at it and said, whoa, this is an important site. So set realistic expectations, but now along with that, if you research keywords properly and go after niches, not after music, but maybe go after, Latin music or whatever your niche is, then you'll be able to get that kind of traffic coming in and you'll start to show up on searches. It's an important thing also to recognize that search engine optimization, or the process of preparing your website for the search engines, is a long-term process, and that it's also strategic, and it's based on keywords, it's based on the behavior of people searching, and it's also based on your conversion strategy because you want to have the right kind of person coming into your website. So all those factors have to be in place, along with some technical things that have to be done on your website to make sure that you show up on various searches.
Now, don't the search engines change every now and then exactly how they index?
They do.
Pages?
They change. They change as far as juggling some of the major players. But if you have a niche phrase that you've done a good job of optimizing for, and it's in your content and so forth, chances are you're going to stay pretty relevant. And you also stay relevant if you're doing targeted local searches. But yes, the big players. I mean, that's why you could have a business that has a number one ranking, and for 2 years you develop all of these sales because you're on the first page of Google. Google reindexes you, someone else is up there, and those inquiries could go away. So yes, that does happen.
So let's talk about strategy as far as search engine optimization and strategy. Where should we start?
Well, the web marketing plan that we've discussed in these podcasts is the place to start. And that web marketing plan sets the strategy for your website. And from that will come keyword analysis. Keyword analysis then determines how the market's going to find you. These keywords then become part of your page optimization process, which basically is getting the pages on your site visible in the search engines because they meet criteria set forth by Google or Yahoo or MSN. And of course, when you do keyword analysis, you want to always check the competitive nature of those terms with a word tracker or with the Overture search tool. You want to find out, what are some niches I can go after, because I'm probably not going to get under the very big competitive terms. But the bottom line is that your search engine strategy is integrated with your web marketing plan and is part of the overall web marketing strategy.
So what does an organization or business need to do to prepare their website for the search engines?
Well, this is the process of optimizing pages, and I'm going to let Dennis cover a few of the key things you need to do to get found.
Well, Google's #1 mission in life is to connect searchers with relevant material. So if your material truly is relevant to a search term, you will get found, and that's the bottom line. But people make lots of mistakes that are very important not to make. One of the most important things is title tags. I'll say it 3 times. Title tags, title tags, title tags. If you sell leather wallets and you have a website that says, "Welcome to Bosca," that's a mistake, because people will be looking for leather wallets. They're not looking for Bosca in most cases.
So would it be appropriate to say, "Welcome to Bosca Leather Wallets"?
No, it should be even more direct than that. It should say leather wallets.
What is a title tag?
When you're looking at a web page in your web browser, at the top of the window that contains the web page is the title of the window. That's called the title tag, where you set that. And the title tag is important because it shows up on the Windows operating system in your taskbar. So people who are surfing multiple websites see your title tag in the taskbar, and that's how they navigate between the different windows that they're looking at. The title tag really is, what is this page about? And it's really the #1 most important thing you can do for search engine optimization. In addition, if you sell leather wallets, you will want to use the term leather wallets in your headline tags, and not just in big bold text that you created using cascading style sheets, actually in an H1 or an H2 tag, to get a little technical. Also, your keywords should be in the linking text on your page. There should be a couple of places on your page where leather wallets is actually blue underlined linking text. And just as importantly, we talked about links to your site from other sites. Be very, very sure to ask the people who are linking to your site to use your keyword terms in those links. You don't want something to say, "Click here" as the linking text to see more leather wallets. You want it to say, "Click here to see more leather wallets," underlined in blue. Very, very important.
Back to the title tag really, really quick, just so I'm totally clear and our listeners are totally clear. If you had leather wallets, you talked about Bosca, you used that as an example. What if you were to say leather wallets by Bosca?
That would be fine.
Would that work the same as just leather wallets?
Well, there's the issue of prominence and there's the issue of density. Prominence is how soon do you see it, and density is how often do you see it compared to the total number of words. You want to have high prominence and high density. So really the very best you could do would be leather wallets. Leather wallets by Bosca is also great because then you have a page that satisfies 2 searches. It satisfies a Bosca search and a leather wallet search quite nicely.
Because that's something that I know a lot of folks have. They go, well, I don't want to put out for my service and say, well, here's, like you said, leather wallets. If you just had leather wallets and you had somebody who pulled up multiple pages, they go, well, which one am I looking at? I like the Bosca one. Which one is that?
Right.
And if you didn't have that in your title page, your end user is going to have to go back and try to find it.
Now, is the title tag or the title page, is it in the source code or is it actually on a website? You might want to explain what source code is too.
The source code is the code that actually displays the page. It uses HTML, the hypertext markup language, to show you the various elements of the page. The user sees the title at the top of the window. The source code will show the title in what's called the header, and there is a tag called the title tag that just says title, and then it would say leather wallets by Bosca. The one thing that you don't want to do is ever use something like welcome to our Bosca website. Those are completely worthless, and they're actually damaging because they reduce your density.
So I'm doing a search on Google for leather wallet. And if you look at the search, you'll see that one of the key links here is a company called naturalreflections.com. at the top of their ad, it says, or their listing, it says leather belts, belt buckles, leather handbags, leather wallets. Is that the title?
That is the title tag. That's what you see in the listing in the search engine results.
Now this shows you, leather wallets is a pretty competitive term, but this company is the number 2 placement on that search in the organic free listings. And they've done it because they had the term leather 3 times and the term wallet once in their title tag.
And you can do it with any search term. You look up a very competitive search term, Colorado real estate, and you look at the first 5 hits in Google, and you will invariably find title tags that say Colorado real estate with no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
So those are very important. So if you're a web developer, definitely want to focus on the title tags.
Well, let's talk also, because once we're talking title tags, that goes us back to more source code. Let's talk about meta tags and how those are used.
Meta tags used to be used by all the search engines, and the meta is another of those invisible tags that the user doesn't see at all. And with a meta tag, you can load up keywords of terms that are related to your site. The things have changed, though, over the past 6 to 12 months. Many of the search engines don't use meta tags at all, but some do. So we recommend to people that they continue to use the meta tags with very relevant keywords. But the bottom line today is the search engines go to your webpage and they say, what is this thing about? The same way that a human would look at an article in a newspaper and say, what is it about? They'd look at the headline, they'd look at the title, they'd look at the bold-faced text, they'd look at the bullets, and they would scan it to find out what it's about. Google's doing the exact same thing when they look at your webpage, and that's how they return their search engine results.
Now, is there a way to do overkill, should I say, as far as meta tags or titles? Because sometimes as I'm searching the web, I look around and I find a page that looks like it may be relevant, but then I realize it's just a bunch of keywords. And I look in the meta tags, and the meta tags is literally a paragraph of keywords that are said over and over and over again. Is that something that the search engines would pick up on and rank that person up at the top, or would that get them blacklisted?
We call that search engine spamming. And in many cases, that will show you at the top of the listings. But eventually, the search engines will realize that you're trying to cheat them. If you have duplicate content on multiple web pages and multiple websites, you will be penalized for that. And that basically means you'll show up lower and lower in the listings. If you use tricks where you put white text on a white background, there's a penalty for that. The bottom line is these days, there's 2 schools of search engine marketing. There's the search engine spamming, where you load up on terms and you create content that can't even be read by a normal human. And then there's our approach, which is to create highly relevant content that's extremely consumer friendly, that uses some basic tricks like make sure you use titles, make sure you use headings, and make sure you use linking text, but make the content readable and consumer friendly.
How would somebody get up from that, from being penalized as far as the search engine? They did search engine spamming, they learned their lesson, they go, you know what, we want to fix it and make it right. What do they have to do to be able to get back up to the top of the listing?
Well, the engines are very forgiving. If you mend your ways and just create a site that's relevant and that does some of the basic tricks that we're talking about, you will get re-indexed sometimes within days. And these days, it used to take 6, 9, 12 months to get indexed. These days, you can make a major change to a website and you will be indexed 2 days later. We had a client who accidentally turned off all of their search engines using a thing called a robots file. It actually said to the search engines, don't search at this website, don't index this website in your index. And they fixed that, and they were indexed 24 hours later. So the spiders that go around from Google and from Yahoo and from MSN, and they scan your site, they're doing it very, very frequently these days. But I have one more important point in terms of those spiders. Be sure that your homepage has somewhere on it links to all the other pages on your website. It's just a way of helping the spiders crawl into the right places.
Now, talking about making sure that your pages are linked, in podcast 9, we talked about pay-per-click. How does that work with landing pages? Like if somebody wants to have a specific page that they have their pay-per-click going to a certain page that's not the home page, how does that work as far as the search engine optimization?
Well, search engines are going to index all the pages in your website. when the spiders go through and find your site, they're going to say, hey, this website has these pages, and here's the content on the pages. So a well-optimized web page or website will send you the right place. So going back to leather wallets, if you sell different types of leather goods, when you do a search on leather wallets, more than likely it should take you to the leather wallets page. It's the same thing with your pay-per-click program. You want to take people to the page that's most relevant to the ad or term that you're targeting. Now, on the spiders, one thing I want to clarify is that the spiders are a software program, and it's a searching program that goes out from the search engines and identifies and indexes the database that becomes part of the World Wide Web. And so that's how the spiders work. It's a very interesting topic. A question I have for you, Dennis, though, that I've always wondered about, because we do everything we can to try to get people up in the organic search listings, is does click-throughs on searches have anything to do with relevancy or the amount of traffic that you're getting? If you get a lot of traffic, or if you get a lot of people clicking on you on a certain search, does that help you in the rankings?
Well, Tom, I must be honest, I didn't know the answer to your question, so I paused the podcast and I called Google and I asked them, and they gave me a definitive no in both cases. If you get found in the regular search engine rankings, the unpaid rankings, it does nothing to improve your page rank. And if you get found in a pay-per-click campaign and someone clicks through, it also does nothing to improve your page rank. It's kind of like the old editorial versus advertiser conundrum that magazines have been going through for years. They try to separate those things, and Google tries to separate those things as well, apparently.
So it really comes back to the fundamental things that we mentioned earlier with the title tags and the links coming in and the content on your pages and so forth.
So what about these submission programs or these spam emails that go around that says, we'll submit you to 350 search engines around the world and you'll be number one? Talk to us about that.
If someone says you'll be number one before they find out anything about your customers or your products or what your company does, then you're talking to the wrong company, number one.
Run away as fast as you can is what you're saying.
Exactly. If you have presence on Google, Yahoo, and MSN, you've hit yourself about 81% of the internet. And it helps a little to go to all those other niche search engines, but not a lot. But I would encourage people to look at directory sites that are relative to their industry. Those can be very valuable. And they also greatly increase your page rank because some of those directories have very high page rank scores themselves.
Well, and the other thing to do is go do a search for some of on the terms that you're interested in targeting, and look at the websites and see what they've done. Look at how they've optimized themselves and what they've done to get themselves listed, say, in a top 5 on Google.
So what types of tools are out there that our listeners can use to be able to get higher ranks?
Well, it's not something that you want to try to do manually, because what you're looking at gets pretty big in a hurry. You are looking at a group of search terms, maybe as many as 25, 30, 40. You're looking at a group of competitors, maybe as many as 10 or 15. And you're trying to find out how various search engines rank these terms and these competitors. They have great tools out there for doing that sort of thing. 3 that come to mind are Web CEO, which is a nice product. TrendMX is a company that has a product called SEO Studio. And we'll put this on our resources page at the podcast website. And we also have Web Position Gold, which has been a controversial product over the years in that they used to advocate that more search engine spamming approach, and now they're also taking sort of that more sophisticated approach that more and more people are taking. But the bottom line is you need to know where you are ranking, and you need to know how the people who are ranking high got there. And there are tools for helping you analyze all of those things.
Now, are these available online, or is this something that's software that you purchase at Office Max or Best Buy?
They're all downloadable. Just go to Google and search for SEO Studio or search for Web CEO, which is my personal favorite right now. It takes a more sophisticated approach, and Web Position Gold is going to be all over the place. These guys specialize in search engine marketing, so if they don't get high listings when you search for them, that'd be a problem.
And what can our listeners expect to pay for something like that?
They are not cheap. They have different levels of pricing for For just an individual company who wants to find information on one website, something like $150. But for a company like ours that helps multiple clients with search engine optimization, the prices can get up to $350, $400, even as high as $800 in some cases for the really high-level products.
Okay. Well, wonderful. Well, it's that time for the action plan. So what key action items do we have for our listeners this week?
Well, I think that the first thing to realize is that this is a fairly complex area, and that if you're going to get serious about search engine optimization, you probably want to outsource that to a company that specializes in this type of work. Make sure that they follow the guidelines we've talked about in this podcast, because you don't want to do spamming and get in trouble. Learn and study about how all this works. It is all over the internet, and you can read about it on Google, and you can read about it in the resources that Dennis just mentioned. Many of them also have tutorials as well. And start the process of researching keywords, understanding how people search to find you. And then from then, of course, you'll develop that strategy for search engine optimization, and take a look at the resources on our resource page. Finally, stay on top of this field. Someone in your company needs to do that, because it literally can change overnight.
And it does.
It does change overnight, and as we had some examples of that. But it can also be a very tremendously profitable form of marketing for you, because once you get a good ranking in the search engines, you tend to keep it, and you don't pay anything for it. And you get qualified traffic coming in all the time. So it's a good thing.
Well, folks, now Dennis, do you have something else to add?
Yeah, I do, Glenn. I guess the bottom line is know where you rank, know where your competitors rank, and the people who are doing better than you in the rankings, find out what they did and copy them if you need to. But really, create content that is highly relevant for your customers on those terms, and you will get found.
You heard it, folks. You have your homework. This has been an Intuitive Websites Internet Marketing Podcast, and for more information and the other resources, see all the other available podcasts we have and much more, visit intuitivewebsites.com.